So, another thing that's a terrible news, right, that we got to talk about here is the
Gotta talk
Brooklyn
about it.
subway shooting because, I mean, that's pretty
Well,
wild. I mean, what do you think, bro? Go ahead.
there is a good twist to this story because they caught the guy today.
Yeah.
What is his name? Frank R. James, 62, prime suspect, is in custody, so that's good news. Also good news, out of the 10 people that he shot, none of them were lethally, nobody passed away, so that's good. And 19 others were taken away for other entries, shrapnel, maybe they fell and hit their head, or maybe they got skimmed, but not shot. 10 of them were shot. So, I mean,
That's a
wild story.
That's
He
62.
came in.
What? That's
62 years old. He
Why
came
at
in with
62? Is this what you
smoke
wanna do?
grenades, a smoke, a pro mask, a protective mask from the smoke grenades, and the Glock 9mm, and just started firing off. I think he fired off 33 rounds. They said 30 some, 30 to 40 rounds. Say,
Wow.
very wild story at 62.
Yeah,
Wild.
I guess really the good thing though about it is no one died.
Yep.
There was, injuries. I think they said up to 29 people got injured.
And that
I
number
think
could
you just said,
fluctuate.
10
It could
to
fluctuate
13
once.
people got shot.
Yeah.
So maybe injury is shrapnel, or someone tripped over you or kicked you, or you sprained an ankle, maybe even while you were trying to run away from this, because
Right.
obviously that had to have been just a horrific scene to be a part of.
Absolutely.
You don't want to be concealed. I mean, I guess smoke. If I'm concealed,
Well,
I'd rather be concealed than wide open with
true
someone
that.
pointing a gun at me. So he kind of did everybody on the subway a favor by popping the smoke. And it doesn't seem he wasn't a good shot because he didn't kill anybody. He had a pro mask. You in the military, you
It's
did a
harder
lot
to
of
shoot
work
with
in
a
a
pro
pro
mask.
mask, and
It's
shooting.
harder
in the
to shoot
thing
with
is-
them.
If he didn't train shooting in the pro mask, it's very likely
Yeah.
that he didn't know what he was doing.
I would highly say that that's true.
And
'cause-
all of these things are good things, right? So the 62-year-old somewhat thought about it, but didn't think, and maybe he wasn't trying to kill anybody. But I don't know. What's your
Why
motive?
would you
Why do you
do
go
that?
into a subway and start popping caps, 33 plus rounds from a
Yeah.
9mm if you're not trying to kill anybody? But thankfully, nobody was hurt.
Thankfully nobody's hurt, like you were saying, and his aim was terrible, and I mean
Probably
there
had
might have been some
cataracts.
divine intervention in there.
He had
People were
glaucoma.
hiding in the smoke. I mean, but you got to think from being in that situation.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you're just taking your daily subway ride and smoke starts coming out of nowhere,
Right.
and you're like, what is going on? And then all of a sudden you start hearing gunfire and
Yeah.
tings around you and people screaming. Like, that would be a crazy situation. So like you said, thankfully no one was hurt. Thankfully the New York Police Department and everybody that was helping find him did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Found him a day after, not even very quickly
Yeah, not
after.
quick, pretty quick.
And so that's so hats off to them. Hats off to all the police officers and everybody that was working on that case to arrest him so quickly, because that's pretty great.
And we were talking about this earlier. Something like this probably isn't going down in a place like Texas or even a place like Ohio.
I mean,
where you have other pedestrians and people on the train or whatever it is, subway, that have a gun. I saw a video of a Texas shooting that happened. I think it was a church, and this was maybe a year or two ago. But the guy shoots, and then a couple Texans pull their gun out and kill him in the church, and they minimize the damage.
Yeah.
Which I think is important, right? You have a big city like in Brooklyn and New York and even Chicago. You have these gun laws that really stop good people from carrying weapons
and
and
protecting
it's
themselves.
clear that
Right.
people like this they don't care about the law. They're gonna get the gun. They're gonna find it one way or another, and then all you do is leave pedestrians and law-abiding citizens of Brooklyn, of New York, and of whatever place this is,
Right.
with no gun against somebody who has a gun.
Yeah, and do you really think the people that are going to do this, do you think that Robert James at 62 was going to do this, but he was like, oh shit, wait a minute, I'm in New York, there's gun laws.
The Brooklyn gun laws really stopped me.
Wait
from
a
doing
minute,
this.
the Brooklyn gun laws don't allow me to carry this out in
Oh,
this
goodness.
state. So let me drive to another state and do it. Well, no, honestly, that kind of invites it because he's kind of like, well, I don't necessarily want to go to Texas and do this or Ohio or wherever it has guns because I might actually get shot. Let me go somewhere where somebody might pull a knife on me.
Or I can do this
something.
safely.
Yeah, I mean,
or I can commit crime and try to murder people safely.
And I'm not for, violence and guns and all. I am for the freedom of weapons. Yeah, I am for that.
Yeah, and you're for protecting yourself.
Protecting
right?
yourself. I'm for protecting your family. So, obviously that. I mean, I was in the military, so I believe in that. But I'm not going to go out here and just be promoting guns and say everybody should carry a gun. Because if you're not mentally fit, if you don't know how to use a gun, if you haven't been trained on a gun, if you don't know how to take the magazine out of a gun or
sure, I can agree with that.
Clear the weapon, I mean, you shouldn't have a weapon.
This is America, so maybe,
well, you better learn first.
I'm just
saying,
get
your class, do your classes, get with the people that know, because
get trained. But
everybody in America, a lot of people know how to use a weapon. So I mean, somebody can show you. Because don't be getting a weapon if you don't know how to use it.
And in my eyes, things like this hopefully make people want to bring guns to Brooklyn more than they want to keep them away, I guess. Maybe they don't. I don't know. I'm not a New Yorker.
I want the same weapon laws across the U. I don't understand. I understand the whole federal state thing, but I don't know. On some things, like something like that, I feel like it almost has to be like a federal wide. Like,
right.
I shouldn't be able to carry my gun in one state and not in the other state. Like, if I have my weapon, since it's in the Constitution, I should be able to do that across every state line.
Yeah. I guess it's really because we're a bunch of states. The state has a lot of power.
They have a lot, and I feel that
a lot of power.
I do get that, because if they didn't have a lot of power, then when that whole DeWine thing happened, the state wouldn't have been able to fight back against all those ridiculous mandates. But that's a whole nother story.
Right. Yeah, that's a whole nother ballgame.
So I'm glad that states have the power, but some things I think should be federally across the board. I don't know.